Welcome back to our podcast on digital communication and virtual teams. Today's episode is one that remote teams absolutely must master: managing time zones and distributed schedules.
Absolutely. It's one of those challenges that can either become a productivity killer or a hidden strength, depending on how well you manage it. And for global teams, it's not just a technical or a logistical issue, it's a deeply human one, too.
That's a powerful way to put it, Lily. On paper, time zones are just numbers, but in reality, they determine someone's personal time, their sleep, their meals, their downtime. If we don't manage it well, we risk burnout or disengagement.
Exactly. And it starts with awareness. Many teams don't even realize they're scheduling 8 p.m. meetings for someone in Tokyo or making early morning decisions in New York without input from teammates in London.
Let's begin by identifying the key problems distributed teams face when it comes to time zones. First, there's coordination fatigue. Trying to schedule meetings becomes a full-time job in itself.
Yes, and then there's inequity of participation. The same people end up adjusting their schedules every time, often folks in less represented or smaller teams.
And the third issue, the loss of spontaneity. In co-located teams, ideas spark in real time. In distributed teams, everything has to be scheduled or documented, which can dampen creativity.
That's where strategy and structure come in. Let's talk solutions. One of my favorites is the follow the sun model. Work literally moves across the globe as the sun rises. A team in Sydney hands off to Delhi, who hands off to London, and so on.
It works brilliantly for support functions, software releases, or time-sensitive workflows, but it does require clear handover protocols.
Agreed, and we shouldn't forget the value of core hours, overlapping hours when all team members are online, even if it's just 2 or 3 hours a day. That window becomes sacred for real-time sync.
Core hours solve a lot. They ensure decisions don't get stuck and help build team cohesion. It also allows teams to cluster meetings and leave the rest of the day for deep work.
Another key strategy is time zone transparency. Tools like World Time Buddy or Google Calendar integrations can help, but teams should also just talk about their time zones openly. Hey, I'm in UTC plus 5:30. How does that fit into your schedule?
And leadership has a big role to play here. They need to model fairness. Don't always schedule meetings during your own peak productivity hours. Rotate times when necessary.
Let's talk async workflows too. If you can't coordinate everyone, maybe you don't have to. Create documentation, use recorded video updates, and rely on shared platforms like Notion or Confluence.
Yes, not every decision requires a live Zoom call. When you shift mindset from meeting-driven to documentation-driven, the stress of time zones eases dramatically.
But that requires intentional communication design. For instance, if you're sharing a project update asynchronously, it must be clear, structured, and include next steps. Otherwise, people miss context.
Absolutely. I often say, over-communicate, but with structure. Use headings, timelines, and action owners in every async message.
Let's share some tools that help manage distributed scheduling. I personally love Clockwise. It automatically finds mutually agreeable times based on focus time and preferences.
Timezone.io is another great one for visually seeing where your teammates are. Calendly works well for scheduling one-on-one conversations without all the back and forth.
We should also mention Slack integrations. Some bots can auto-detect time zones, delay message delivery, or remind you if someone is currently outside working hours.
Speaking of working hours, let's talk about boundaries. Just because someone is online doesn't mean they should be. Distributed teams need to be crystal clear about working hours, rest periods, and response time expectations.
Exactly. This is where the idea of a team charter comes in. It defines norms like no messages after 6 p.m. local time unless urgent, or async response expected within 24 hours.
It also creates psychological safety. If people know they can log off without guilt or fear of missing something, they're far more likely to stay engaged long-term.
That brings us to empathy, one of the most underrated tools in time zone management. Always assume positive intent. If someone didn't reply, it may be 2 a.m. where they are.
Or they may have just logged off for family time. In digital communication, we need to lead with understanding. Tools can guide us, but it's empathy that sustains us.
Well said. Let's summarize today's key takeaways. 1. Acknowledge the challenge. Managing time zones is complex, but solvable. 2. Use core hours and async communication strategically. 3. Be transparent about working hours and rotate meeting times fairly. 4. Document everything clearly, especially when working asynchronously. And 5. Lead with empathy and clarity, not urgency and assumption.
Thank you, Lily, and to our listeners. And as always, we'll explore inclusivity and accessibility in digital communication. We'll dive into how to make communication equitable for all team members, regardless of abilities, tools, or languages. If you found this episode of Corporate Communication useful, don't forget to join us, leadershipacademy.tagbizsutra.com. Do share it with your friends and colleagues and leave your review. Until next time, corporate communication is a leadership function. It defines how people feel, think, and act. It deserves intention.